Hey guys, what's up? So happy Valentine's Day to you. The love is in the air. I can feel it. Now, as some of you might know, my all-time favorite slasher film is My Bloody Valentine, and it is just uh it's why this time of year is one of my favorite and least favorite times of the year because I watch it on Valentine's Day every year by myself without a Valentine. But we're not here to talk about my relationships. We're here to talk about another slasher film from 2001. A slasher film from 2001 that is in theme with the holiday. I'm talking about Valentine. I bought this in like November and I've been waiting until. Actually, I bought this in November. I've been waiting until this time of year so I can finally watch it and review it. I don't know much about this movie other than what people have told me, and what people have told me is it's a ripoff of Halloween, except based around Valentine's Day, and that's all we got. Um, I guess it's a horror film that involves like a like that involves some kind of Valentine stalker. That's kind of interesting. But mainly, with the title and it kind of seems like Halloween-ish, but we don't know until we watch it. So without further ado, let's check out Valentine. So basically, the movie starts with this nerdy kid at a school dance in the late 80s, getting rejected over and over and over again, and then being framed, and then getting embarrassed and being framed as a pervert and potential rapist. With some good cinematography and nice use of color and lighting, this opening scene is probably the best scene in the entire movie. It's visually striking, and it is very reminiscent of something. It's very similar to. It feels like it's something that Argento would make, and I'm gonna make a lot of parallels between Argento and this film. So then the movie skips to 13 years later when everybody's grown up and in college and shit, and everybody's just, they got jobs. And that kid who got ignored might be going out for some revenge. So, the movie has some decent writing and acting overall. Nobody, gives an absolutely horrific performance. The characters are okay. They're not, too memorable, and not, and good amount of them aren't really that likable either. But they're okay. At least they're characters. The camera work in the film is good overall. Same with the lighting. But when it comes to the death scenes, it gets to the point that it's very Argento esque. Like it becomes like the cinematography in the death scenes just gets way better, and the lighting gets better, and the kind of use of atmosphere and music in the death scenes. Again, very Argento-esque, with the killer being very creepy and foreboding, wearing black gloves, um, and the use of color as well. I think I've already said that, but it's good. The pacing in this film is pretty solid overall. It I mean, the movie basically, starts out with a very, very interesting, visually striking scene, and then we go from that to a straight curveball with someone being murdered, um, rather quickly. Uh, the effects in the movie are kind of good. It's, with like the blood and some of the gore, what there is of it, there's not a ton of it. It looks good. Um, I wouldn't say it's the fantastic, but I would definitely say it at least looks good. Um, the music is solid all around. It's very very creepy, very tense. Builds a little bit of atmosphere here and there. I mean, it's not an absolutely horrifying movie, but it has a nice kind of foreboding atmosphere, and gives off a kind of sense of loneliness throughout the entire film. There's also some references to My Bloody Valentine, the original. I mean, I don't know if they were intentional, but the characters do receive threatening Valentine cards. Like in My Bloody Valentine, there's the one. It's like roses are red, violets are blue. Two are dead, and so are you. Um, in this one, they get even more like really elaborate, like obviously made by the killer or stalker cards. One of them says one of them said roses are red, violets are blue. Like they're gonna need dental records to identify you. Like it's even if those weren't intentional, it's still a nice little nod to a film of a similar caliber. Now, there's a few more things I have to complain about before I get to the overall, overarching thing with this movie. Um, I gotta complain about a couple things. The stilted acting in the unlikable characters. Slasher films have unlikable characters usually. They don't even have characters. And that is where the nudity, sex, violence, and gore comes in. But in a slasher film with very little sex, violence, nudity, or gore, you kind of have to have interesting, or at least likable, or at least, characters. Same with some of the acting. The acting is kind of lifeless at times. And I gotta say this, they were kind of going for a whole 80s vibe of like a cast of like really attractive women. And I mean, at least in my opinion, a good amount of the stars of the film, I didn't really think they were that attractive. I mean, they were all right looking. Like, honestly, I didn't think they were that attractive. Um, I do dig that they were going for a very 80s horror style. They were trying to break the kind of, self parody that slasher films were doing in the 90s with stuff like Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer. They were trying to get away from that and go back to kind of classic 80s slasher and or Argento-esque kind of stuff, and you can really tell that they were going for it with the vibe and the death scenes, which all the death scenes in this film are while they aren't like omega violent, they're still really really interesting and visually interesting to watch. On the gore meter from 1 to 10, 1 being something like Nosferatu and 10 being something like Brain Dead, Valentine's probably about a 3. It's not that bad, like really at all. Like when I read the back of the case, it says it's rated R for strong horror violence. And I'm like, after watching it, I'm like, that really wasn't that bad. Like, even by slasher standards, like, Scream was worse than that. Overall, the movie's a really solid slasher film, and I mean, it's not the best slasher film ever. It's not the most original slasher film ever, but it's solid. It's interesting, and there's some really cool scenes in the movie, visually striking scenes as well. And I honestly can't really understand why this movie gets a bad rap. I mean, this movie currently holds like a 4 out of 10 average rating on IMDb, which is way below average, and that's terrible because this movie deserves a bit better. It deserves at least a solid 5. Like it's not that bad. Um, I really don't understand why it gets a bad rap, and I think this one might go on my list of yearly watches with My Bloody Valentine, which I will be watching uh, tomorrow because I'm actually filming this on the. Well, I'm probably gonna upload this today, but I'm gonna watch My Bloody Valentine tomorrow because that's always my tradition. But um, overall, really, really good, really solid. Well, not good, but really okay and solid movie. I'd at least give it a 3.5 out of 5. Anyway, guys, that's it for now. I'm Biscaboo69 signing off. Peace.